Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of Business Morning. I'm Harriet Agbinyi. It's great to have you on the program. Today is quite an interesting one, especially as we'll be focusing on a number of issues. But let's give you the breaking story. Well, it came in some 30 minutes ago from the National Bureau of Statistics. Nigeria's Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, slowed 0.52% in March to 17.26% from, well, in March to 17.26% from 17.78% recorded in February. Now, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, this is the second consecutive month of a decline in the headline CPI on a year-on-year basis, representing the effects of stabilizing prices in already high food and non-food prices, as well as favorable base effects over 2016 prices. It is also indicative of early effects of a strengthened naira in the foreign exchange rate market, and price increases recorded in all divisions that yield the headline index. However, the major divisions responsible for the accelerating pace in the headline index were housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuel, education, food and alcoholic beverages. Now, the food index dropped 0.09% to 18.44% from 18.53% recorded in February, with core inflation at 15.40% as against 16% recorded in February as well. So the numbers are looking good, but of course it actually beats most analysts' prediction, which were looking at so much as a 100 basis points drop in the headline inflation. But we'll get to that in a moment when we're focusing on commodities with Amaka Ajegbu, who is a research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. But also in the news at this time, Nigeria's Minister of State for Environment, Ibrahim Usman Jibril, says all is set for the issuance of the 20 billion naira green bond, but it will be delayed until the 2017 budget has been passed. The government had planned to launch the 20 billion naira bond this month to fund projects to reduce carbon emissions and develop renewable energy. But lawmakers have also resolved to pass the 2017 budgets. But until that is done, the Ministry of Environment says they will hold on to issuing of that bond. And last year, when wrangling between Parliament and the Presidency delayed the spending plan, it was months before the budget was actually passed. 2 months ago, the Ministers of Environment and Finance, along with the Director General of the Debt Management Office, held a stakeholders meeting with investors and the capital market community to talk, among other things, about the next step in the diversification of the economy. Also, market news now. Some top management from Mobil Oil Nigeria and Nigerian Independent Petroleum Company NIPCO will today close trading at the Nigerian stock market at about 2:30 p.m. Now, NIPCO acquired 60% stake in Mobil Nigeria, valued at about 90 billion naira. Of course, we'll get to the reviewing of the markets in just a bit. We're going to talk about what's actually going on in the FX segment of the market. Let's quickly get to that for you. We know that the Central Bank of Nigeria has continued to intervene in that segment of the market, but we'll get to those, to the interventions in just a bit. But the Central Bank of Nigeria is expected to increase dollar sales to Bureau de Change operators from $10,000 to about $20,000, and that just came in this morning, according to the president of the association. So naira funding today and delivery will be on Tuesday, April 18. According to the president of APCON, this is a very welcome development, and of course this should also help converge the rates at the official, between the official and the parallel market. But let's also take a look at what else is happening in the FX market. We have the central bank selling about $250 million in 7 to 30-day forwards, FX for agriculture, airline, petroleum products, and raw materials. So talking about ample liquidity in the markets. In total, since the central bank started its intervention into that segment of the market, we've seen about over $4 billion sold to try to cover the shortfall as recorded in that segment of the market. Now, the regulator has called for bids for wholesale spot auctions of about $100 million for business and personnel travel allowances, medicals, as well as tuition fees And as I mentioned, the CBN has intervened in the markets very recently to the tune of over $3 billion. But analysts say the CBN has sold an estimated $4.1 billion in forward sales in roughly a month. Now, the regulator also plans to open a new window to resume dollar sales on the spot market to clear foreign portfolio investors, dividends and other investments. Remember that has been a major issue. So the central bank has decided to look to that segment and try as much as possible to meet them halfway, to give them an opportunity to repatriate their funds as at when due. And then the Senate, I beg your pardon, has a Senate panel has alleged about 30 trillion naira of FX scam in banks, and so is set to begin probe of banks, including importers. And just so you know, Nigeria's FX reserves as at April 11 stands at 30.39 billion naira. So let's go back to the markets and start with the currencies market. As at yesterday, we still have the naira to the dollar at the interbank spot market at 306 naira 10 kobo. To the British pound is at 381 naira 61 kobo, and to the euro it's at 323 naira 80 kobo. But the street level, it was kind of flattish, 410 naira to a dollar and 490 naira to the British pound. Still quite high and not in line with what most market watchers want. They still want a stronger convergence, but with the continued intervention by the Central Bank of Nigeria, that should improve in the very near term. But let's take a look at the stock market now and see where that market finished off yesterday. It looked pretty good yesterday, even though it was a marginal gain of 7 basis points recorded, with the all-share index at 25,496.71. Market capitalization finished at 8.82 trillion naira. But take a look at the number of deals that came in slightly lower than what's been recorded in the first 2 trading days for the week. So at the end of midweek trade, we had the volume coming in at 247.67 million, valued at 1.24 billion naira, and exchanged in 2,909 deals. For the interbank, let's talk about the FMDQ OTC data now. That's from the FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange. For FGN bonds, total number of transactions done yesterday was 261, with a value of 26.90 billion naira recorded. And the top 4 most actively traded by investors